We have arrived in Budapest, capital of Hungary and home to the parliament of the country. It was here where the anti-LGBTQ propaganda law was born. This decision was met with a strong backlash from the European Commission. But how does the LGBTQ community here experience the increasingly hostile environment? We meet Laszlo Birka. He used to be the owner of multiple LGBTQ bars and nightclubs. He shows us around in what used to be the nightclub called Capella. It is a fascinating building, possibly due to the many rebuildings Laszlo initiated himself. The reconstruction of the basement, for example, caused a potential collapsing risk for the entire building, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Laszlo's goal was to create a district with many LGBTQ clubs and bars. Those are quite rare now, many of them relabeled as merely gay-friendly. Why Not is one of those bars, where we first met Laszlo. Homosexuals are often put in the same category as pedophiles in the narrative of politicians and public figures lately, Laszlo explains. A day later, we meet Laszlo again in the attic of Capella. A lot of the furniture that was still in the building is now covered in white cloth. It has been sold at an auction after the last time we saw each other. Clearly emotional and confused, he tells us how in 1995 he opened his first clubs, Capella, Warlock and Limo. And only a few years later, in 1997, civil society told him there was no place for the LGBTQ community in Hungary, after which he held meetings in secret outside of the city. It was there where he was asked to help organize the first gay prides in Budapest. Laszlo is the only gay person we can find who will tell us his story in front of a camera. Even the person who brought us into contact with him does not want to take part in this documentary. After our initial meeting, we meet him for a second time to do the interview and a tour of the building. Alright Laszlo, we're in this amazing looking building that used to be one of the major LGBTQ clubs. Can you introduce yourself and this place a little bit more for the viewers?
Sziasztok, én Birka László vagyok. 89-ben úgy gondoltam, hogy meleg leszek.
Before we start, he is agitated and tells us that he has received an eviction notice that very afternoon. As we start, it is apparent that Laszlo feels very strongly about how queer people are treated in Hungary. He even goes as far as saying, "I will tell you anything, even if I have to go to jail for it." During the interview, it becomes clear that the government has hurt Laszlo so much he has gone to the extremes in his opinions. Even with the help of a translator, he is unable to answer our questions and instead tells us his theory on why the discriminatory policies in Hungary have come to life. Every member of the parliament is gay and suffers from internalized homophobia. Thus, they take it out on the people of Hungary. It is clear that though Laszlo is unable to answer our questions properly, he is a gay man severely hurt by his own government. With the anti-propaganda law as the most recent move against LGBTQ people in Hungary, we want to know how the anti-gay policies affect the population. We go to Hungary's biggest LGBTQ organization, Hetero Society.
For example, a teacher wasn't even talking about LGBTQI issues, however, they were supportive of the community on their social media platforms. The headmaster called them in and told them that they need to get rid of those posts or else, and that sentence is barely finished, but you can imagine the consequences.
Joni Hendricks is working for Rutgers, a knowledge center for sexuality. What does she think the effects will be of a more repressive policy in Hungary for the people of the LGBTQ community?
With that kind of policy, it shows like the struggle they already have. Like, am I normal? Is this normal? And this kind of policies where it's being seen as something negative or something like propaganda. It's not being represented as being normal, and you shouldn't be who you are.
With the repressive policy of the government in Hungary, safe spaces like gay bars and clubs are almost completely removed from public scenery in Budapest. When Capella was still open and flourishing, it was home to many parties for gays and non-gays alike. The parties are not held anymore, leaving the building empty. What is left is what used to be a safe space for the members of the LGBTQ community, now covered in a thick layer of dust.
The safe space is the context, the condition of even beginning to explore, and that has to be done in a safe space, because if you know I'm going to ask for information and you run the risk to do something illegal or get a fine, so basically the first condition of having a safe space to ask your questions, to explore, that if that's not there, then it's really harmful, especially for young children.